Six-God Combination God Mars is a robot anime produced by Tokyo Movie Shinsha and broadcast on the Nippon Television Network. Since the previous show, Tetsujin 28, The Sun's Messenger, was based on a manga by Mitsutaru Yokoyama, it was decided that the show would continue to be based on a manga by Yokoyama, and Mars was chosen. In the original, the protagonist's robot Gaia in the original, fights against the six gods, but in this work, Gaia and the five gods robots combine, so the basic setting is different. What is common is some of the proper nouns, the names of the robots, Mars will, or the setting that Gaia explodes when Mars dies. The title was initially named, Six Gods Combined Mars, after the original work, and was also announced in anime magazines under this tentative title. The name Mars was already a registered trademark when it came time to sell related merchandise, so it was changed to God Mars. Later, the original video animation Mars and the TV anime, God Century Legend Mars, were produced, which were faithful to the original work. It was originally scheduled to run for 6 months, but due to strong toy sales and growing popularity among anime fans, especially female fans, in addition to the younger age group that typically buys toys, it was aired for over a year. The story is divided into 3 parts, the Jishin Planet arc, the Quince Planet arc, and the Earth arc. The staff will be joining the show as a shift from the previous show, Tetsujin 28, The Sun's Messenger. Kaisuke Fujikawa, who has a track record in such works as Amazing Earth and Space Battleship Yamato, will be in charge of the series composition. Combinations between robots are seen in UFO Warrior Diapolon, Space Emperor God Sigma, Gordian the Fighter, and Strongest Robot Daiha. The show was produced under the initiative of sponsors, and the main robot God Mars adopted the same transformation process as the hit toys Gordian and God Sigma. However, the complex design with many lines of 6 robots combined by Katsuji Murakami was difficult to move in the hand-drawn animation of the time, and the robots' activities, which were supposed to be the selling point, were all shown together in the last few minutes as a service to the sponsors, and although it was a robot anime, the focus was on human drama. Due to these circumstances, a handsome character Marg, who does not appear in the original work, was created to become the rival of the main character. And Marg, drawn by Hideyuki Motohashi, who was the first character designer, and voiced by Yuji Mitsuya, became more popular than the main character, and was the driving force behind the show gaining many female fans. In a later interview, Motohashi said that the reason for its popularity was the voice actor rather than the drawing style. Marg was especially popular at the time of broadcast, and when it was announced that he would die, petitions for his life and razors were sent. When he actually died in the series, a funeral event was held in the South Hall of Nippon Television with the cooperation of the anime magazine Animedia, following the example of Rikishi Toru in Ushita Nojo. During the broadcast, fans started a petition to have the series made into a movie, collecting 100,000 signatures. As a result, the movie version was a re-edited version of the Jishin Planet arc, and the fans who were at the center of the petition were credited at the end. Also, Kaisuke Fujikawa's novel, God Mars, The Legend of the 17-Year-Old, Takuma Shoten, published just before the final episode of the TV series, was made into an OVA version, 1988, 6 years later. Story: Jishin Planet. Emperor Zulu of planet Jishin, who aims to rule the entire universe, has extended his evil hand to Earth. Takeru Myojin, who was working as a member of the Crusher Corps, learns the secret of his birth during the battle. Takeru Mars confronts Zulu with God Mars, who was created to protect him, but this is also the beginning of a sad battle with his twin brother Marg. Quince Star. Takeru defeats Zeul and liberates planet Jishin, but a girl flies to Earth and gets caught up in a new war. Planet Marmelo's dictator, Gin, begins cracking down on negative psychics, and the fugitive Floor is one of his targets. Gin adamantly demands Floor be handed over, but Takeru protects her, and Earth and planet Marmelo are finally at war. With the space pirate Gash also involved as a third force, the Crusher Squad is forced to interfere in the conflict on planet Marmelo between positive psychics and negative psychics. Earth. The war with Marumero planet has ended with the death of Gian. However, there was a mastermind behind Gian. It was Zeul, who was thought to have been defeated. Takeru, who has been fitted with a devil ring that reduces his life when he uses his psychic powers, challenges Zeul in the final battle with the support of the mysterious Rose Knight. Common to all parts. Mars/Takeru Myojin. Voiced by Yumizu Hima/Run Sasaki, Childhood. The protagonist of this work. 17 years old. Magician alien. Plus, a psychic. He was abducted, forced to be used, by Zeul immediately after birth and sent to Earth. When Gaia reached Earth, he was born on Myojin Reef, where he was picked up by the discoverer, Dr. Myojin, and raised as his own child. In addition to physical abilities far surpassing those of an ordinary person, in battle he uses the psychic powers of crossing both wrists to generate shock waves and shooting his hair into needles. From his background, his identity is completely that of an Earthling, and even after meeting his blood brother Marg and learning about his real parents, the truth about himself, and the system and situation of planet Jishin, he continued to consider himself an Earthling. This did not change until the end of the battle, and in the Quince Star arc, when he met the aliens, he introduced himself as "My name is Takeru Myojin. My space name is Mars." Kenji Asuka. Voiced by Hiroya Ishimaru. 23 years old. Leader of the Crusher Squad, to which the protagonist belongs. Calm and collected. From the Quince Star arc onwards, he also serves as captain of the Space Station series, and towards the end of the arc he is temporarily promoted to commander of the Defense Force, fighting in a fleet battle with Gien's main force. Naoto Ijuin. Voiced by Hirotaka Suzuoki/Go Shinomiya, Super Robot Wars series. 17 years old. In charge of firearms for Cosmo Crusher. At first, he was foul-mouthed and would pick fights with Takeru at every opportunity. The character designs were reused from rejected drafts by Myojin Takeru. Mika Hayaga. Voiced by Yoko Kawanami. 15 years old, 17 in the movie version. The only female member of the Crusher Squad. In charge of radar and communications. In the Quince Star arc, she falls in love with Gash at first sight, but her outspoken feelings backfire on her and she is captured, which ultimately causes Gash's death. Losing him right before her eyes makes her love a tragic one. Akira Kizo. Voiced by Tsubasa Shioya. 16 years old. In charge of navigation for the Cosmo Crusher. He is good with machines but has a weakness for women, and in episode 17 he is tricked and manipulated by Akane, a beautiful girl disguised as Rose. Akashi Namada. Voiced by Eiko Yamada. A boy who admires Takeru. In episode 4, he loses his parents in a tornado attack by the Jishin planet combat mecha cyclone. Later, he joins the Crusher Corps as a special member. He has weak, but powerful psychic powers. In the novel version, he inherits the pendant that allows him to control Gaia and the Five Gods robot as Takeru's successor. Director General Otsuka. Voiced by Kosei Tomita. 42 years old. The commander of the Earth Defense Force, to which Crusher Corps belongs. He continues to appear in the previous program, Tetsujin 28, The Sun's Messenger. The idea of the producer, Toru Horikoshi, was to continue the role, as he wanted him to be like Tobei Tachibana from Kamen Rider. The voice actor, Tomita, continues to play the role from Inspector Otsuka in The Sun's Messenger. Shizuko Myojin. Voiced by Toshiko Maeda. Takeru's adoptive mother. After her husband passed away, she lived with Takeru at the Crusher Corps base under the pretext of being his caretaker, with the help of Chief Otsuka. She was a mental support for the members, gently but sternly admonishing Takeru and the Crusher Corps members whenever the need arose, and later even admonishing Rose. Emperor Zulu. Voiced by Goro Naya. He is the emperor of planet Jishin who plans to rule the universe. He rules with terror and is a dictator who never forgives those who oppose him or fail in their missions. He is a cold-blooded man who treats even the slightest opinion of his as a rebel without any mercy and executes them in the most cruel way possible. He is also the one who, by forcefully abducting Mars and sent her to Earth with Gaia as a human bomb. He appears in the air in outer space disguised in a cloak-like upper body, with no arms or legs visible. He has an extreme hatred for love. In the Earth arc, he is revealed to be a combination of 6 gestalts: Metal, Bode, Naka, Snappa, Kika, and Need. He also operates as the mastermind in the Quince Star and Earth arcs. Jishin Planet. Planet Jishin is an interstellar nation founded on the first planet of the 4th star system. It is a planet that produces many psychics, and its sphere of influence boasts a radius of 1,000 light-years. It is ruled by Emperor Zeul, and is engaged in war with over 500 star systems using combat mechas that amplify psychic powers. The editorial staff of Animex speculates that, naturally, it bordered the sphere of influence of planet Marmelo, and there would have been battles there, and explains the two as examples of the Garmilan Empire and the Bowler Federation from Space Battleship Yamato 3. Marg. Voiced by Yuji Mitsuya. 17 years old. Twin brother of Mars. Psychic. At first, he pretended to be insane under Wool to gather intelligence, and sent the information to Mars by telepathy, but after it was discovered, he was brainwashed by Zeul, intentionally incompletely, and forced to fight Mars. In episode 13, he gives Mars the memories of his father and the rocket that controls the 6 Gods robot, which was entrusted to him by his mother. In episode 14, he is completely brainwashed and confronts Mars, and although the brainwashing is removed in episode 19, he dies. However, his residual thoughts remain alive, and he appears as a ghost in the Quince Star and Earth arcs. Marg's pet bird. A small bird that was Marg's pet. It was used as Marg's eyes and ears during intelligence activities, but was discovered and killed by Segal in episode 11. It looks like a chimera of a peacock and a parrot, and is about the size of a medium-sized parrot. Rose voiced by Rumiko Yukai. 17 years old. A psychic who appeared in episode 14 as an adjutant to the brainwashed Marg. In fact, he is not a Jishin alien, but a native of the 8th planet colony of the 4th star system. He attacks by emitting thought-generated butterflies from his hands. He is also skilled in the powers of suggestion and hypnosis, and can reinforce Marg's brainwashing and control targets. He is also skilled in disguise and has carried out sabotage operations alone. After Marg's death, he challenges Mars to a one-on-one duel, but Mars' foster mother Shizuko urges them to reconcile, citing the famous line, "Revenge only breeds revenge." Afterwards, she loses a rematch against Takeru, but after he saves her, her heart wavers on her mission and the meaning of life, and in episode 22 she, unconsciously, returns to her hometown and reunites with her sister, Louis. There, she learns about her sister and Mars' way of life and their strength, and that she is merely a tool to Zeul, and reconciles with Louis. After defecting from Zeul, she joins forces with Mars. She reappears in the Earth arc, and eventually comes to love him. Louis. Voiced by Kyumiko Takaizawa. Rose's younger sister. Non-psychic. Appears in Rose's flashback in episode 21. Opposes Zeul and is the leader of the resistance. In episode 22, she rescues Director Otsuka and Shizuko, who were taken to her planet by chance. At that time, she tried to execute Rose, who had been captured by a separate unit, but was stopped by Shizuko, and she reconciled with her sister and narrowly succeeded in the liberation operation. World. Voice, Kintaro Aramoto. The operational commander of Planet Jishin. Non-psychic. He is Zeul's second-in-command, but secretly plans to use him for his own ambitions. He will use any means to achieve his goals, and is not afraid to abandon his subordinates. In the end, Zeul sees through his true intentions and purges him. Segur. Voiced by Masashi Heroes. The head of intelligence on planet Jishin and a psychic. A colleague of Wall. He is truly loyal to Zulu, and unlike his subordinates, he doesn't see Zulu as just a battle machine. However, in the end, he was merely used by Zulu, and after being attacked by Wall, he died in Takeru's arms. Ghoul. Voiced by Kazu Komiya. Appears in episode 8. A beautiful psychic from the planet Jishin. Using her transformation ability, she disguised herself as Takeru and tried to pin the blame for the space airport bombing on him. Later, she became a decoy to allow 50 operatives to infiltrate Earth, and although she knew she was no match for them, she attempted sabotage using the combat mecha Gurguru, but was killed in battle. Baron. Voiced by Rumiko Yukai. Appears in episode 10. A beautiful psychic from the planet Jishin. She has the ability to ignite fire and transform like a ghoul. She kills Kumi, the daughter of the director of the Space Control Center, and takes her place. She then performs a sabotage operation, but her true identity is revealed. She fights back with her combat mecha vacuum, but is defeated and killed. Idea. Voiced by Katsuhiko Kobayashi. Father of God Mars. Director of the Science Agency of Planet Jishin and developer of the Six Gods Robo. At the same time, he was a developer of anti-proton energy, but was threatened by Zeul, who planned to use it for weapons, and was forced to create an anti-proton bomb. In order to protect Mars, who had been taken by Zeul, he transferred all of his memories to Marg and secretly modified the Five Gods Robo, excluding Gaia, so that they could be combined into God Mars. He then sent it to Earth along with the shuttle carrying Mars, which incurred the wrath of the emperors, and after being tortured, he was executed by firing squad. However, before he died, he left a mechanism and a video message in God Mars, anticipating the day when his son Mars would grow up and fight the powerful Emperor Zeul. Aida. Voiced by Michiko Hire. Mother of God Mars. When Marg was 10 years old, she was shot by mistake during a quarrel with a guard, and died a tragic death while entrusting Marg with a rocket to control the Six Gods robot. Tadashi Miyajin. Voiced by Takeshi Aono. Takeru's adoptive father. In episode 2, he reveals the secret of Takeru's birth, but is killed in an attack by the Jishin alien Gila. Quince star. Quince is a binary planet 14,000 light-years away from Earth. It is an interstellar nation with a powerful military, and like Jishin, it has produced many psychics, but negative psychics. The only difference between them and positive psychics like Takeru is that their telepathic wave patterns are positive or negative. Everything else is the same, are oppressed by the dictator Jiran and exiled to the other half of the binary, a barren land called the Death Star. Furor. Voiced by Ryoko Sakakibara. 17 years old. Negative psychic. The heroine of the Quince Star arc targeted by Gien's hunt for negative psychics. She escapes to Earth despite losing both her parents, but is actually Gien's daughter, revealed in episode 30. Born as a negative psychic, she is nearly killed by Gien, but is saved by her mother Armo and the Pope, Shakir, and is raised by adoptive parents as a baby. Because of this, she only finds out she is Gien's daughter from the crest on her forehead, a mark of her successor that was placed on Gien immediately after she was born, and from her mother, who tells her the truth when she is reunited with her mother. After the death of Gash, he takes over as captain of the frontier and takes charge of the rebel army. President Gillen. Voice, Osamu Kobayashi. The president of Planet Quince, a positive psychic. Floor's real father. He was originally a military commander, but guided by a prophecy from a mysterious voice, he hunted down negative psychics and took the position of president. Despite later leading Planet Quince to its downfall, he quickly escaped with the remaining forces. On the way, he was tempted by a mysterious voice to take the Earth, and launched an attack to take the Earth in place of Planet Quince. In a fierce battle, he faced Floor on the Moon, and was finally defeated with the help of Takeru, after which he was destroyed by a mysterious light, emitted by Zeul, that suddenly rained down. Bactal. Voice, Jun Hajime. A loyal retainer of Jiran for many years, and the current commander of the Marmelo army. He is the only one among his subordinates who knows that Floor is Jiran's daughter. He is blind in his left eye. He died in an accident while escaping from the Marmelo home planet. Gash. Voiced by Akiono Jima/Kazuya Sogabe, episodes 43 and 44. He is the leader of the negative psychics who were exiled to the planet of death by Gin, and the captain of the sailing battleship Frontier. In the beginning, he engaged in piracy and was hostile towards Takeru and his friends. After reconciling, he and Mika almost fell in love, but he was seriously injured while trying to rescue her, and was shot by pursuers, dying before he could achieve his goal, with Mika watching over him. However, Mika inherited his beloved gun, which he left behind. Gash's death was not part of the original plan, as his appearance was unpopular with anime fans. Screenwriter Fujikawa has warned viewers not to judge characters based on their appearance alone, but to consider what kind of person they are and what kind of life they have led. Sekir. Voiced by Tamio Oi. The Pope of Quint's planet. He is the master of the Great Hall of Fame and knows Floor's secret. He stopped Armo from drowning, entrusted Floor to Frouz and Ash, who later became Floor's adoptive parents, and secretly called on the negative psychics to protect Floor. After introducing the grown-up Floor to Armo, he let the people living in the Great Hall of Fame escape, but was captured, and was in danger himself, but was saved by Gash. After that, he returned to Quint's planet again, but was captured again immediately after the uprising, and was used as a decoy to lure out Gash. Although he was rescued, he was fatally wounded by the impact of an explosion behind him and flying shrapnel in his back, and died, telling Gash, "Believe in Mars. Open your heart." His body was buried on the Star of Death, later renamed the Star of Hope. Armo. Voiced by Reiko Muto. She is Floor's real mother. Her husband, Gin, orders her to kill her daughter, but she refuses and tries to drown herself with him, but is stopped by Sekir and his men. She accepts Sekir's persuasion and entrusts Floor to him, but when Gin finds out that her daughter is alive, she is imprisoned for a long time underground in the prison. However, she is finally reunited with Floor, who arrives with Takeru, and tells her daughter about her true origins. However, when she is captured along with Sekir, she fires at Gin, pleading for the release of her daughters, and is killed by Gin in an enraged fit, dying in the company of Floor and his men. Earth. Below are the 6 humanoids that make up the Zeul. They are men and women dressed in metallic full-body tights. Although they have facial features, their faces are almost completely faceless and hairless. Metal. Voiced by Mitsuo Senda. A collective life form that controls Zeul's body. It forms the head. Bode. Voiced by Taro Ishida. A collective life form that controls Zeul's body. It makes up the torso. Snapper. Voiced by Kazu Komiya. A collective life form that controls Zeul's body. It forms his right arm. Knacker. Voiced by Naoko Koda. A collective life form that controls Zeul's body. It makes up his left arm. Kika. Voiced by Masashi Hiros. A collective life form that controls Zeul's body. It makes up his left leg. Need. Voice Yosaku Yara. A collective life form that controls Zeul's body. It makes up his right leg. The fact that Zeul is a collective of the 6 of them was not made clear until the final episode when they themselves said it, but even before that, scenes in which Zeul addresses them, or one of them, as my lives were shown in every episode of the Earth arc. The Knight of the Rose. Voiced by Yuji Mitsuya. A mysterious knight comes to Mars' aid when she is in danger. His true identity is Rose, possessed by the spirit of the deceased Marg. God Mars. Height, 50 m/weight, 1050 t. Armor material, positronium alloy, a special metal with strong self-repairing properties. Space flight speed, sublight speed/atmospheric flight speed, Mach 20. a giant robot formed by combining the 6 robots Sphinx, Uranus, Titan, Shin, and Ra with the robot Gyre, controlled by Mars brainwaves, as the core. Mars' real father, Idea, built it to protect him. It moves by absorbing the energy of the anti-proton bomb built into Gyre and the combined energy of the 5 gods. It first combined in episode 2. It has few weapons but is powerful, and its sturdy body makes it the strongest robot, nullifying most attacks. Its weakness is that if Mars overuses his psychic powers and becomes exhausted, he cannot exert his powers and cannot maintain the combination. The combination is also forcibly cancelled if exposed to a strong magnetic force. In addition, because the 6 gods are controlled by thought through brainwaves, if the thought waves are blocked by a telepathic shield, the 6 gods cannot be summoned, and if Takeru's brainwaves are disrupted by the brainwave disruption ray gun, control becomes impossible. However, when combined with God Mars, the telepathic shield activates and the brainwave disruption ray becomes ineffective. The design was difficult to move by hand, with both arms and legs being different, and as mentioned above, movements are kept to a minimum even during battle. However, Motohashi recalls that it was easier than Getter Arc, whose shape was difficult to grasp. Armament. Godfire. A destructive ray resembling the letter G is emitted from the emblem on his abdomen. When it hits, it gouges out the enemy's armor in the same shape as the emblem and penetrates it. In the first few episodes, this was his finishing move. Mars Flash. The sword materializes as light emanates from the M-shaped emblem on its abdomen. Final God Mars. Special move. After stopping the enemy's movement with God Fire, he swings the Mars Flash high and slashes from above while shouting, "Final God Mars." The official name of the move was revealed in episode 7. Double Mars Flash / Double Final God Mars. A weapon used in the GBA game, Super Robot Wars D. A technique that fires the Mars Flash or Final God Mars together with the OVA version God Mars, described below, piloted by Marg. Super Final God Mars. A weapon added to the PSP game Super Robot Wars Z2, Saisei Hen. In its golden state in the final episode of the anime, when golden, it has the same image of a ringing bell as in the anime. It fires Final God Mars. The name, Super Final God Mars, is used for convenience in the weapon column, and Takeru still shouts, "Final God Mars," in Super Robot Wars Z3, Tengoku Hen, he also shouts Super. In the final episode of the anime, when it turns golden, it only throws the Mars Flash, and Final God Mars is not used. In addition, depending on the situation, he may separate the 6 gods robots to attack. In the fight against Cole Gatch, he separates Uranus and uses it like a rocket punch. 6 gods robo. Except for Gyre, they are robots sent by Idea to various parts of the Earth. It is unclear why they are disguised as ancient ruins. Gyre. Height, 15m/weight, 250t. Unit 1 houses Takeru and becomes the core of God Mars. When combined, it is completely stored in the Sphinx and is not exposed at all. However, his face is pushed up into the mask of God Mars, so it can be seen faintly through it. He usually hides inside a stone statue on Myajinsho in the Pacific Ocean, but in times of emergency, he receives telepathic messages from Takeru and flies to him. It is linked to Takeru through brainwaves, and if Takeru dies, the anti-proton bomb that powers the machine will explode and destroy the Earth. However, since anti-proton energy was sent to Zulu in the final battle of the Jishin planet arc, the danger of explosion has disappeared since the Quince Star arc, but it still functions as a power source. Because of this, in episode 19, Takeru and Gyre were mocked by director Otsuka as the bomb duo. In normal battles, it amplifies Takeru's psychic powers. There are 2 crew members. Only once did they retrieve a wounded, or already dead, Marg. At that time, Marg was sitting in the back seat of Takeru. Sphinx. Height, 25m/weight, 300t. Unit 2 transforms into the head and torso of God Mars and houses Gyre inside. It usually hides inside an Egyptian stone statue. Its weapon is the Sphinx attack, Body Slam. Unlike the other 5, it does not have any weapons such as beams. Instead, it has the function of amplifying Gyar's, Takeru's, abilities. Uranus. Height, 15m/weight, 100t. Unit 3 transforms into God Mars' right hand. It usually hides inside an iceberg in the Arctic. Their weapons are the Uranus Freezer, Freezing Ray, and the 4 of them, except for Gyar and Sphinx, each emit their own ray, which is their main weapon, from their chest. Titan. Height, 15m/weight, 100t. Unit 4 transforms into God Mars' left arm. It usually hides in a stone statue on the bottom of the Indian Ocean. His weapon is the Titan Cyclone, anti-gravity ray. Shin. Height, 25m/weight, 150t. Unit 5 transforms into the right leg of God Mars. It usually hides in the Angkor ruins. His weapon is Shin Flare, Heat Ray. Ra. Height, 25m/weight, 150t. Unit 6 transforms into the left leg of God Mars. It usually hides inside a stone statue on Easter Island. His weapon is the Ra Pulsar, a cutting beam. OVA version. In the OVA, Legend of the 17 Years Old, God Mars, and Gyar have the same basic abilities and weapons as the TV anime version, but both have newly designed forms. Gyar's head shape is closer to that of the original. It also appears in the GBA game, Super Robot Wars D. In that game, by meeting certain conditions, you can keep Marg alive and make her your ally, at which point she will become your piloted unit. In the original setting, it is the same individual as Takeru's God Mars, but in the game it is treated as another God Mars, exclusive to Marg, and the 2 God Mars can appear together. Other mechas. Crusher Squad. A sub-organization of the Earth Defense Force that responds to unexpected situations on Earth. Takeru, Naoto, and others belong to this organization under the command of Chief Otsuka. They pilot the Cosmo Crusher, a large space fighter that can be separated into 3 fighter planes, and fight alongside God Mars. Cosmo Crusher. A large fighter jet formed by combining Crusher 1 and 2, both of which belong to the Crusher Core. It can fly not only in the atmosphere but also in space. It also has Crusher 3 installed inside, and in battle, the 3 planes separate in front of the enemy and perform a triple attack, attacking simultaneously from multiple directions. Crusher Number 1. A high-speed fighter that serves as the fuselage and nose of the Cosmo Crusher. The nose can move up and down. Its weapon is a laser cannon. Crusher Number 2. A fighter plane that serves as the rear and main wing of the Cosmo Crusher. It is armed with 4 large laser cannons on both wings. Crusher Number 3. A small fighter plane capable of vertical takeoff and landing that is installed inside the Cosmo Crusher. It has 2 crew members and is armed with a laser cannon. Marine Crusher. An underwater exploration vessel belonging to the Crusher Corps that can operate in the deepest part of the Japan Trench. It has 1 crew member. Cosmo Gun. The Crusher Corps' standard beam pistol, characterized by its large, square barrel. Hover Bike. Takeru's personal item. A single-seater air bike that can float and run. The power source is unknown. Some sources suggest that it is a gasoline engine. Battle Camp. Japan is the headquarters of the Crusher Corps, located on the Izu Peninsula. In the Quince Star Arc, the headquarters is moved to Ceres, but in the Earth Arc, it is the base again. It is equipped with a runway, missiles, and other weapons, but its defenses are not very strong. Ceres. Appeared in the Quince Star Arc. A space base built at a Lagrange point and housing the Crusher Corps headquarters. Warp Catapult. An ejection device that can transport fighter planes and combat mechas that cannot travel between stars through space. It was developed at the Antarctic base and sent the Crusher Squad into the sphere of influence of planet Jishin. Earth had already developed warp navigation technology with the space battleship Cosmocat during the time of Tetsujin 28, Messenger of the Sun, but the warp catapult was not put to practical use until episode 19. Jishin Star. Combat Mech. The main weapon of planet Jishin. A manned mobile weapon that combines psychic powers and mechanics. They come in a huge variety of sizes and shapes, from small ones like the Rosam defeated by Gair, to the gigantic spaceship-sized Ganymedes, but most are non-human. It is a system that mechanically amplifies the powers of psychics, and is basically a one-of-a-kind item that is adjusted to suit each person's psychic abilities. There are a wide variety of abilities, such as causing typhoons and earthquakes. Each has an individual name. Jishin Starfighter. A twin fuselage, twin engine, single-seat fighter. Can be used both in and out of the atmosphere. 2 laser cannons at the base of the wings are its weapons. Can also launch interstellar sorties using a warp catapult. Marg Special Fighter. A 3-engine, single-seat fighter jet exclusively for Marg use. It is armed with 2 laser cannons. Command Module. A battle command ship for commanding combat mechas. A large spaceship capable of carrying combat mechas. Marg Command Ship. Appeared in Episode 15. A battle command ship used by the brainwashed Marg for frontline command. A trimaran, with secondary hulls extending to the left and right below the main ship. Vol Command Ship. Appeared in Episode 18. The battle command ship used by Wall and Segwul. Rather than a command ship, it is a super-large spaceship equipped with weapons comparable to those of a battleship. 8th Planetary Command Ship. Appeared in Episode 22. A combat command ship for the commander of the 8th planet. Equipped with multiple beam guns for ground strafing on the bottom, it is specialized for riot suppression. Rose's personal spaceship. Appeared in Episode 22. A single-seater spaceship for Rose, capable of interstellar travel. The fuselage is marked with the alphabet LOZE. Can be used both inside and outside the atmosphere. Continued to be used in the Earth arc. Jishin Star Tank. Appears in Episode 22. A tracked MBT. Equipped with twin turrets and a missile launcher. It was tasked with maintaining law and order on Planet 8, but was seized by Lewis and his friends and became a fighting force for the rebel army. Warp Catapult. Planet Jishin was the first to put warp catapults into practical use before Earth, and they were used when Idea sent the 6 divine beings to Earth. Quince Star. Frontier. A space pirate ship modeled after the sailing ship led by Gash. It is armed with numerous beam guns on the sides and 2 large beam cannons on the bow. It can generate a mist-like substance in space to disappear, but the mechanism behind this is unknown. Furor's small aircraft. A single-seater spacecraft used by Floor. Although small, it is a high-performance craft capable of interstellar navigation and can escape the Quince Star and reach Earth. This is the craft that started the Quince Star arc. Nova. A self-propelled asteroid base built by Gash and other psychics. It has warp travel capabilities. It was the home port of the Frontier, and was destroyed by the Quince army in Episode 41. Esper Robot. The main weapon of the planet Marmelo. They are literally combat robots, and unlike the combat mecha of the planet Jishin, there are few manned types. As expected, their abilities and shapes vary widely, but as they are called robots, most of them are humanoid or animal-shaped. The standard size is a relatively large one of the God Mars class. Its armament mainly consists of firearms such as beam cannons, and it does not have individual names. Compared to combat mechas, it can be said to be a standardized, industrially produced mobile weapon. While most of them are unmanned and tend to be thought of as weak, many of them are equipped with brainwave disruption ray cannons, which cause Takeru pain and often render him unable to control the 6 gods. Quince Starfighter. A single-engine, single-seat fighter. Can be used both in and out of the atmosphere. Armed with a pulse laser cannon in the nose and 4 missile launchers on the underside of the fuselage. A long-range type capable of interstellar travel without a warp catapult. Command Module. The Quince Force's combat command ship. It can carry Esper robots, and many of them, like Zaza and Videl's command ships, can be used as Esper robots by separating parts of the ship's body. Unlike planet Jishin, planet Marmelo has a much larger number of command ships, so we will only list the distinctive ships that can be used as psychic robots. Zaza Command Ship appears in episodes 26 and 27. A combat command ship used by Attack Commander Zaza. It is a super large ship, and the bridge can be separated to become an Esper robot. Videl Command Ship appeared in episode 28. A battle command ship used by Videl, who tries to lure Mars into her camp, believing her to be a positive psychic. The bow of the ship separates and transforms into an Esper robot. Dan Command Ship appeared in episode 41. The battle command ship used by Dan on his way to defeat Gash. Unlike Zaza's ship, the main body of the ship itself is an Esper robot, and the bridge is the one that detaches. Hyperspace Missile. It is a so-called interstellar ballistic missile, a warp missile that can attack Earth directly from the planet Quince. It warps out just before impact, making it difficult to intercept. Submarine. A submarine of the Quince Army. It is armed with 4 torpedo tubes on the bow and 1 8-barreled anti-aircraft missile VLS on the upper deck. It lurks in the ocean of planet Quince and attacks Takeru, Gash, and his group as they travel between continents with anti-aircraft missiles, but is counterattacked by the 6 gods and sunk. Quince Military Large Helicopter appeared in episode 43. Although it is called a helicopter, it is a box-shaped hovercraft with no rotors. It is armed with 1 missile on the nose. A VTOL transport plane that captures the fleeing mecha and leaves at high speed. Magnetic Cannon. A super large self-propelled cannon that collects and irradiates the planet's geomagnetic field. Many of them have been deployed in the main part of Marmelo planet. Its defensive capabilities are extremely high and it is possible to destroy the 6 gods combination, but excessive use of the magnetic cannon can make Marmelo planet itself uninhabitable. Spaceships. The Quince military appears to place great importance on their space fleet, as they possess not only a combat command ship but also a variety of space combat ships of various sizes, and they formed a large fleet to approach Earth. According to the setting book, there are the Hyaga-class battleships and the Yubari-class cruisers. Gash's gun. A beam gun reminiscent of the Luger P-08. The barrel is as long as a carbine. After his death, it was entrusted to Mika by Floor. Earth. Devil Ring. Zeul put glowing bracelets on both of Takeru's wrists to suppress his psychic powers. When he uses his psychic powers, pain hits his body, significantly reducing his vitality and shortening his lifespan. Combat Mech. The 6 members of the Zulu detachment use this combat mecha during operations. Unlike the straight-line form of the Jishin planet mecha, this has an organically curved shape that gives it a somewhat biological impression. It is unknown where they obtained this from. Spaceboard. A snowboard-like space mobile unit operated by the Knight of the Rose. The rider stands on the board and appears to change direction by shifting his weight.